questioning ourselves, what can we give to students, or children, or people that they could carry with them, even if their houses get washed away? Okay, how can they have hope? And how can we give them something that will stay with them? Okay, and we wrote an article, and I've got handouts for you. I'm going to give you at the end. And one article is by me and 3 other people who have been collaborating. And I'll give it to you halfway through. Okay. But one person is specializing in storytelling. So how do you tell stories to yourself that you remember and it can be a source? Okay. Embodied, though, let's start with embodied and then go to extended. Okay. We all have gestures and things like that that happen to be embodied. I often in Japan, on the rail platforms, see men waiting for the train, and they get bored, so they start going like this. Okay? And this is an embodied thing they do often, or they want to do often. They want to go play golf. Okay? And others are actually doing this, okay, playing tennis, things like that. And it's just something that's embodied. Let me give you a little example of something my mother gave me, okay, when I was first going to school. I was very scared of school when I first went. I was about 5 years old. And my mother gave me this little finger game. Okay? You put your hands like this. And she said, this is the church. This is the steeple. Look inside and see all the people. Okay? And she said, when you go to school, you'll always have all these people. Your family's with you. You know? And I swore, the first 2 or 3 days of school, I think I sat all the way through classes with my hands like this. And I could see all the people that supported me. So these little tiny embodied ways of thinking. Right? Dwight Atkinson has a wonderful, wonderful article called Embodied and Extended Cognition. And you can Google it and download it for free from the internet. And it's an academic article. He does wonderful work on it. And it's a really, really good thing. So we started taking this idea and saying, what could we do for children and for other people? I specialize in songs, of course. That was my PhD dissertation. And I sing songs to myself all the time. On my bicycle coming to school or waking up in the morning. And it puts me into a different mood. Okay? That's something I do very often. And it helps me. It's like an affirmation. Do all of you know what affirmations are? Affirmations are positive things that you say to yourself. About 200 years ago, there was a French psychologist who tried to help out his clients by telling them every morning, stand up, look in the mirror, and say, every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. And they didn't have to believe it necessarily. They had to repeat it over and over and over again. And sure enough, the words start seeping in, and the belief starts coming in. And so, yeah, I'm getting better. And they start noticing it. The words we use help us notice certain things. Okay? So one thing that I get my students to think about also is the itori-goto in Japanese, that's self-talk. I don't know what it is in Korean. But self-talk, how do you talk to yourself? Because the person you talk to the most in your life is who? Who is the person you talk to most in your life? It's you. You yourself. It's self-talk. Okay? And so, are you a good friend to yourself? Are you helpful to yourself when you talk to yourself? I remember when I was in college and I was playing a lot of tennis, and I would hit the ball into the net, and I was, oh, I'm stupid, did it again. I would yell at myself. And sure enough, I played really bad the rest of the game. I started doing that. I started talking to myself out. And if I said, well, that's one long net, oh, who cares? I'll get the next one. And you go on, you move on. Okay? So figuring out how to be a good friend to yourself, and how do you talk to yourself? And I asked my students, actually, how do you talk to yourself? Pay attention for this week. Notice. And do you really want to talk to yourself? Are you a good friend? Okay. So this is all kind of embodied cognition. These are automatic things that happen with the way we talk to ourselves. Sometimes when my students start noticing how they talk to themselves, they realize that it's actually their mother's voice or their father's voice who's yelling at them, and they've internalized another person's voice. And they say, no, I don't want to have that voice. A different way of talking to us. So, I'm going to lead you through a series of things and do a series of activities with you to try and look at embodied and extended cognition and how we might help our students have more hope and be more a self-source, a source for themselves. Okay. Is that all right? Could you turn to your partner right now and tell your partner 3 things about yourself that not using any words at all, only gestures, only gestures. And tell your partner 3 things about yourself, only using gestures, no words, no words. Go ahead. Tell your partner 3 things about yourself. Just gestures. This also you can do with your students. It's very, very simple and easy. Okay? But it's kind of realizing that, oh, I can communicate, and my body has enough power to communicate. Okay? I also teach my students to embody, if you like, their learning as much as possible. So I'm going to teach you a silly song. It's I first gave it as a speed dictation, so you have to write it down. But the good thing about this dictation is you get to cheat. You can look at your partner's paper. Okay? So can you find somewhere to write on a piece of paper? It's just a 1 or 2 line speed dictation. Okay? Are you ready? Speed dictation. Challenge. Okay. It's raining cats and dogs, and it's cold outside. My sunshine is deep inside. It's a bit too fast for you to get it all. So you have to cheat. You have to help each other. So help each other. Go ahead. Help each other. Help me. My students typically, after the speed dictation, some of them ask me, what's an annex? What's an annex? And I have to explain to them what annex is, and it is. Okay. And it is. So, it's raining cats and dogs, and it's cold outside. The sunshine is deep inside. Now, cognitively, I was hiking up Mount Fuji one day, and I had this stupid tune stuck in my head from the 1950s. I don't know if you know this old song called The Witch Doctor. And the refrain goes like this. Stupid. It makes no sense. It's not good for language learning, but it was stuck in my head. And so I thought, wow, I got this in my head. I'm trying to learn Japanese. Let's try to put some Japanese to it. If you got something stuck in your head, let's change it around. And so I started putting Japanese words to it, and I started hiking up going, Hari toki toki kurori ame doshaburi, hari toki toki kurori ame doshaburi. I started hiking really fast, and my Japanese friends said, why are you going so fast? I said, well, I'm singing myself a song, and it's distracting my body. I don't feel the pain anymore, and I can really hike. And they said, oh, please teach it to us. We'll teach it to us in English. And that's what this is. It's raining cats and dogs and it's cold outside. My sun shines deep inside. Now you want to do it with your hands. Though. Can you shake your hands for me? Right. I know it's the last thing of the day almost, and so you're really tired, so I'm going to make you move a lot, okay? So you go like this, you ready? It's raining cats and dogs, and it's cold outside. My sun shines deep inside. It's raining cats and dogs, and it's cold outside. My sun shines deep inside. And it's raining cats and dogs, and it's cold outside. My sun shines deep inside. Very good. And what my students do afterwards, I use this as I use most speed dictations, as a management tool in class. So I ask my students, please ask your partner, what's the weather like? And that's the key. And the other person has to say, oh, it's raining cats and dogs, and it's cold outside, my sun shines deep inside. Try it, ask your partner, what's the weather like? What's the weather like? Do the gestures, they'll help you. Do the gestures, they'll help you. Go outside. Great. So notice what happens in your brain when I tell you this. About every 5 minutes, when I need to change activities with you, I'm going to ask you to ask your partner, what's the weather like? I'm going to ask you to ask your partner, what's the weather like? Every 5 minutes. So what happens in your brain? I mean, when I tell you that, you say, oh, this is something serious. I'm going to learn this. If I know I'm going to use it every 5 minutes, I'm going to learn it. Okay? And they do learn it. And I do it every 5 minutes. And I'll do it with you every 5 minutes too. Okay? It's a good management tool when you need to change activities. You can just turn to your class and say, ask your partner, what's the weather like? Okay? And you can do this with a lot of speed dictations. Okay? But it's also something that gets them to move their bodies. And also, we've taught this in elementary schools and little children. You can imagine them saying, it's raining cats and dogs, and it's cold outside, my sunshine is deep inside. I don't know, I haven't done any psychological studies, but I imagine that there's some kids, when it's really raining and it's cold outside, they start believing that their sunshine is deep inside. Okay? There's some sort of hope there. It doesn't matter what the weather's like, I still have my sunshine inside. Okay? It's a very hopeful way of looking at the world. Okay? Okay. Ask your partner, what's the weather like? What's the weather like? I know a few of you were here with Mark's presentation. That you two? You guys are new. Were you here at Mark's presentation? No? Fresh. Okay. I'm going to do another song that's very, very similar to this. In Japan, they are now requiring English, finally, in elementary school, in 3rd and 4th grade. But they used to teach even 5th and 6th graders just half an hour once a week of English. But it wasn't English teachers, it was 3rd and 4th year university students who were going from universities. Okay? And so my students from university would go into elementary schools and teach. And one of the first things they taught was a song. But before they taught the song, they taught the gestures for the song. TPR, all of you know TPR, physical response. And so I'm going to teach you 5 gestures real quick, and then you're going to show them to your partner. Okay? Are you ready? Gesture number 1. Gesture number 2. Gesture number 3. Gesture number 4. Gesture number 5. Okay, turn to your partner. Do all 5. You know all 5? Just do them. Yeah. Okay, it'll get easier. I'm going to give you one word to go with each gesture now. Okay, that's what they do with the children. Children can learn the gestures very fast, much better than us. Okay, And then we gave them 1 or 2 words for each gesture. So smile, breathe, look up, sing, and love. Yes, so turn your partner and do all 4 5. Say the words, say the words. Breathe, love, sing. Great, great. Okay, and at the end of that first class, the first half-hour class, the kids kind of knew it. They played with the body. They tested each other, okay? And they would run around the school for the whole week, testing each other. And teachers told us that sometimes in the back of the room, kids would sign to each other and go, and the other one over this side would say, breathe! And it was interesting. So the next week when they went in, they actually taught them longer phrases, okay? And so it was scaffolding. So smile from ear to ear. Breathe in deep. Look up at the sky. Sing a melody. And dare to show your love. Could you do all fine? Try. Dare to show you. Dare is not dear, it's not D-E-A-R, it's dare, D-A-R-E, which means have the courage to do something. And they went around testing each other all week long, and it was really, really fun, apparently. I don't know if it really happened, but I like to think that this happened. I can imagine a little 8-year-old or 9-year-old girl running up to the principal and going, and the principal going, dare to show your love. Okay. Because the whole school was doing it, and they were teaching everybody. They were doing it outside on the playground. It became really infectious, actually. English sign language is what they were calling it. Okay. So, but more than that, we're going to get one more week in later on. But first, let me tell you that these 5 things are not innocent. There's hard research about them. Okay. Some of it was given by Mark in his previous presentation. Smile. We know from research that if you move these muscles in your face, it sends a message to your brain releases endorphins in your body. Endorphins kill pain. People who smile feel better. Okay? They really do, and they do kill pain. What's the second one? Breathe in deep. There's lots and lots of research to show that if you don't breathe, what happens? Right, you die if you don't breathe. But more than that, if you breathe in deep, there's a lot of research which shows that you're actually more intelligent and healthier. Okay? Athletes, before they are in a swim meet or a running race or anything else, they do deep breathing to oxygenate their body. Okay? It also oxygenates your brain. And the third one is look at the sky. That's where you dream. That's where you imagine. Your eyes are like a stick shift in a car. Okay? A car that has a stick shift. And when you put your eyes up, it tells your brain, imagine, dream. What could be? What could happen? Okay? You see things in the past over there and things in the future there, and you kind of put them all together, and you're rearranging things, and it's wonderful. Okay? That's where you dream. So the opposite of these 3 things, actually, you don't breathe and you don't smile and you look down, that's the posture of depression. It's the posture of depression. So I tell, and I get my students to tell, and even the elementary school kids, if you have a friend who is depressed a little bit, get them to look up. Okay, get them to breathe deep. Go jogging with them. Do something with them. Okay, this is why we jog. Okay. But if you change your physiology, you change your mind. Okay, you really do. You change your physiology, you change your mind. So it's to help them, and it's self-sourcing for them, so they know how to change their own depression if they're in it, but also to help their friends. Does that make sense? Can we do one more little experiment with these first three? Could you all just look straight at the ceiling? Look up at the ceiling. Nobody's looking at you, so take a big smile. Okay? Big smile, look at the ceiling, and take a deep breath. So keep breathing, keep smiling, and keep looking at the ceiling, and try and feel bad. Try and feel bad. It's impossible, right? That posture is not feeling bad. It's really hard to feel bad that way. But I have some students in class when I do this with them that really want to do what I say. And I say, try and feel bad. And they go, they shrivel up, okay? And they try to think of something negative. But they can't do it while they're looking up. They have to look down, okay? It's really, really interesting. The fourth one is singability. There's research that shows that people who live to be over 100, 90% of them say they sing every day. Every day. It's a habit. They sing every day. Different songs, different melodies. I myself sing every day at least 10 different songs, but different little clips, okay? Just on my bicycle going to school. It's fun. But it stands to reason that when you're singing, you're moving these muscles, you're breathing in deep, but also songs are emotional. There's more emotional release when you're singing. Okay? Number 5, dare to shoot. And that's emotional intelligence, having a good network of people. If you dare to show your love to other people, dare to let people know that you appreciate them. Okay? Sometimes my students say, my parents know that I appreciate them. But be sure, it's still nice to hear it, or it's nice to see it somehow. Okay? Let them know. And I tell them that, I didn't tell my dad that I loved him until I was 28 years old. Because I was a macho. I'm not supposed to say I love you to your dad. But when I did it, there was silence. It was on the phone, by the way. I was away in Europe. I dared to call him, and we talked a bit. And then I said, Dad, I love you. I was like silence in the phone. And he just said, me too. And see you later, bye-bye. But you can tell, it hit him. And it was good. That felt good to me. So it's good. So make sure that people you love know you love them. Okay? Dare to show your love. It's very, very important. Women do this much more than men. Men need to figure out better ways to do this. Okay. Great. So, in the third week, when the students went back to class, I actually taught this into a song. Okay? So it's more memorable. Do you know the 12 days of Christmas? It's the tune of the 12 days of Christmas. And if you will, sing with me and do the gestures. Okay? It goes like this. When you want to be happy, there's one thing you can do. Smile from ear to ear. When you want to be happy, there's 2 things you can do. Breathe in deep and smile from ear to ear. When you want to be happy, there's 3 things you can do. Look up at the sky, breathe in deep and smile from ear to ear. When you want to be happy, there's 4 things you can do. Sing a melody, look up at the sky, breathe in deep and smile from ear to ear. When you want to be happy, there's 5 things you can do. Dare to show your love. Sing a melody, look up at the sky, breathe in deep and smile from ear to ear. So that is once students learn it and they play with it, it's kind of a self-sourcing, okay? And I sing it a lot in Japanese, actually. So it's really fun. And I follow my advice, basically. Try singing it on your own. Okay? But ask your partner right now, what's the weather like? What's the weather like? What's the weather like? So these are just a few ways of embodying different cognition, and we do this all the time. Extended cognition are things, artifacts, or other things. You probably have photos in your phone or somewhere else that you're very attached to, and when you are sad or something, and you go there and you look at them. Okay, and that's extended cognition. All right. I have books a lot for my kind of extended cognition, and when I go into my house or into my office and I see a whole bunch of books that I know pretty well, for some reason they make me feel better. Okay? So, juggling balls are extended cognition. I don't have to actually juggle it to feel good, but juggling actually makes me feel good also. And it's a different way of thinking. Okay? Right now, could you show to your partner 3 things you either have in your cell phone or in your wallet, and tell a story, a short story about something in your cell phone, or something in your purse, or something in your wallet, or it could be something you're wearing. It could be your watch or your ring. Okay? And these are all things that are artifacts that have stories with them very, very often. Okay? I'll give you a minute or 2. Tell your partner a story about something you have in your purse, in your pockets, in your wallet, in your cell phone. Yeah. Self-sourcing. You carry things with you while you're not doing right now. Yes, please, absolutely. Join one of the groups. Okay. Could you turn to your partner and tell your partner, ask your partner, what are the 5 ways to happiness? And just look at each other and do them. Try to do them. What are the 5 ways to happiness? What are the 5 ways to happiness? 5 ways to happiness. Okay, we've done a few songs, and might do a few more later on. We've done the photo extension things in your wallets and things like that. There's also kukuwaza in Japanese sayings that also can be very, very useful. And I'm sure you have them in Korean, and you can translate them into English very often. One kind of saying in Japanese that gives my students more bravery is Kiku wa itoki no hachi, hikaru wa isho no hachi. It's and so I translate it into English, and I give it as a speed dictation. Okay? And you can write it down if you want to in English. It's asking maybe a moment's embarrassment. Not asking is a lifelong regret. Asking maybe a moment's embarrassment. Not asking is a lifelong regret. And at first, when I do this in English, they don't realize it's Japanese. I just translate it. And it finally starts dawning on them later on. And, but when they're in a situation, typically in classes, they're afraid to ask very often, okay, in front of other people. And so I give them a speed dictation, and then I tell them a short story about regret. Okay? Huh? Yes, about not asking. So I tell them that when I was about 14 years old, I had a chemistry class in high school, and every day in front of me there was this cute little girl that sat there. I wanted to ask her out for a date, okay? And I didn't do it, and I kept on going in day after day, and I said, I'm going to do a date now, and I was just so shy. Finally, I got up the courage to do it, and I went in, and she had moved away. She'd gone to another school, and that's my lifelong regret. I never got to ask her out. Ask your brother, do you have a regret? Do you have a regret? Do you have a lifelong regret, a small one. I have a regret. Something you wish you would have done. You wish you would have done. No regrets. Yeah.
This is the thing.
I know, I do because I'm shocked. What I wasn't expecting. I do not do yes. I was just shocked because I was stunned. Did that that was my
Regret.
It's an expression of.
Oh, the expression of. Okay. Good. Sorry, did you okay? I also try to explain to my students that you can use the word regrets in a very positive way sometimes. Turn to your partner and say, I regret not having met you sooner. Earlier in my life. Okay. Another thing that gives students hope is realizing that it's okay to fail, okay? To let yourself fail, and let yourself make mistakes. A lot of people are stressed out too much because they're trying to be perfect. So I advise all the teachers that I train to tell mistake stories in class. And I might have time to show you one more, but it's flying away. Time is flying away. But shall I tell you exactly one of my mistake stories? Yes? Yes? Which one will I tell you? Okay. But stories are also extended cognition, okay? And you remember stories, and they can be a guiding post for you later on, okay? When I first went to Japan, I went to the same Kisatsu cafe shop every morning. I didn't know any Japanese. Well, I knew one word of Japanese, and I thought it was very fluent. I would go in and I would say, morning goo. Morning goo means you get an egg and a toast and a cup of coffee. It's the morning set. And it's English. And so I felt really good. About the third or fourth day, though, I was kind of cocky, sure of myself. And I started reaching for the sugar bowl for my coffee. There was this kind of round white sugar bowl. And I bumped it and it turned over and rolled across the table. This long white line of sugar. And then in slow motion, it rolled off the edge and started going down toward the floor. And I had lived in Europe for about 15 years, and I said, in this slow motion, I said, I played soccer. I can catch this with my foot. So I stuck out my foot to catch it. but I didn't really catch it. I kicked it, and it went rolling down the halfway aisle. And everybody in the cafe entered. And I was so embarrassed. And I got up and helped the waitress clean it all up. Okay? And I thought that she thought my name was Joe. Okay? And I thought she wanted me to die. Because she kept saying, "Die, Joe, boo." No words. Anyway, I cleaned it all up with her. I went back and had my coffee with no sugar. And then I went to the cash register. And the cash register, I realized, I forgot my wallet. And so, and I didn't have any Japanese to explain. And so she came over. When she was there, I said to her, I said, and she understood. She understood. She looked behind her on the wall. There was a calendar, and she pointed to today, and she pointed to tomorrow. Very easy. I've come for the last 3 or 4 days, and I've come tomorrow on a day. 2 big, big mistakes in one day. I was so embarrassed. The really interesting thing is when I came in the next morning, the first 4 or 5 days, nobody paid any attention to me. Nobody looked at me. Okay? But when I came in the next day, everybody looked up at me and said, "Ohayou gozaimasu." Why are they all being so nice to me now? It took me a week, months to think about it. And I realized that the reason they're addressing me now is that I'm human. Before I was an extraterrestrial. Uji. And making mistakes makes you human. Okay? They really do. And it's okay to make mistakes. If a teacher can tell a mistake story in the front of the class to all of the students, it's kind of a resource for them. It's okay to make mistakes. You're getting that consciously and unconsciously. You need to relax a whole lot more. Carry that with them. Could you guys tell each other just a little tiny mistake story, not as long as mine? You have 1 minute to tell a mistake story. Go ahead, you can go. What time is this supposed to be over?
50.
50. I'm over. Oh, no.
You're supposed to enjoy the smell and that kind of thing. Sure. Porcelain Chinese, and I don't think it was super expensive. It wasn't the easiest to do. Is it that way? I was. In that but just
I started about 5 minutes late, so I'm going to give a little bit more. Okay, thank you. Kamsahamnida.
Behind the wall, so I didn't see the second sign. First, we should still left. Now I always have the other issues.
Okay, I'm a little bit late, and so we're going to finish up real quick here. Along with the artifacts that you're carrying with you all the time, for students, I find that their action logs are artifacts also, and their writings and their action logs. They write about each class, and they evaluate it, they write comments, and I take their comments and actually put them on little newsletters, okay, and pass them back out to the class anonymously. And they start, these are artifacts, if you like, where they can take resources and they can record certain things, and they like them very, very much. So other artifacts are books, but also I get them to write their language learning histories, and collect their language learning histories, and put them in one little booklet, and they get it from the class, they can read about their classmates, and they know about their past, and their classes in here. In a special class on music and song, they actually have to go out and teach one of these speed dictation songs, these self-sourcing songs to somebody. They teach to the grandmother or somebody else, and they write about it as a case study, okay? And then we publish them. And these are artifacts that kind of are extended cognition. They go with them. And I've had teachers come back, high school teachers, 10 years ago, who say, I'm still using my action log from your class, okay? And using these ideas for okay. Other types of extended cognition are electronic nowadays. And my students did their language learning histories one year, and then they wrote another thing where they analyzed the language learning histories for what was good and bad about junior high school and senior high school. And then they actually made an artifact in terms of a video. It was just a 2-minute video. And there's been over 250,000 hits on it in the last 2 years. And I'll let you watch sounds of it. Okay. Now this will be the end. Can you hear?
Our English learning language histories. And the research showed that learning English dynamics not season. Many junior high school and high school students in Japan study bilingual from entrance exams and not being able to use English. After many years of studies, this is the incomplete terms for them of the time. While most junior high school and high school teachers do well, some of our teachers have a really great. Those days, I think teachers are fulfilling well. This is an inconvenience truth. One day, not a line, a bit of grammar, at the point of view. 50 years old. But too much is too much. It's boring. Use English. Talk to our classmates. Sing songs.
Give presentations.
Write our own ideas. Think seriously about improving our work. And in short, do things with language.
Just listen to teachers.
Talking Japanese. When students speak English, we still use grammar. We learn vocabulary. In language learning, use it or lose it. Asking may be a moment embarrassment. Not asking is lifelong regret. We ask for change in English education in Japan. For future generations, but changing the exam systems. Our exam a little bit tweaked some of that. You know that it's been over. It's okay, we can exam, but we cannot accept not trying.
We dare to go for change.
That's what we should learn. Trade for education. For future generations. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Okay. For me, it's a nice activity, but for the students, going on YouTube and seeing all the different comments from all different people around the world, really gives them solid confidence in life. Could you please ask your partners, what's the weather like?
It's raining fast and low. It's cold outside. Sunshine.
Great, okay, I can't keep getting longer, we gotta go to Mark's final thundering, okay? If you wanna look at any of the books real quick or any of the artifacts, please, yourself, okay? Thank you very much.